Fine, guys. Let's start the session. So first, let me go and open the class notes. Let me go and open what? The class notes. Let me go and open the class notes. So in the previous class, that is in the introduction class, in the demo session, we discussed about what? We discussed about introduction to MS SQL Server. So let me give a quick recap what we discussed in the previous class, guys. Let me go and give a quick recap what we discussed in the previous class. So in the previous class, we discussed about why people are calling the SQL as a database software. We understand why we are calling it as an RDBMS software, OLTP software, and also what? Backend development software. We understand why people are calling the SQL with these different names. Along with this, we understand a few more points. That is, who will use the SQL Server and who will hide the SQL Server developers. So we understand who will use the SQL servers and who will hide the SQL Server developers in the previous class. And from here, we come to know that as a SQL developer, you are going to work with the data which is stored in the SQL Server software. So SQL is used to store the business data. So whatever the data is there in the SQL, you are going to work with the data as a SQL developer. So as you are going to work as you are going to work with the data as a SQL developer, so we understand what's the definition of data. We know that what the definition is. What's the definition of data? So we know that data is nothing but a fact or information which is collected together and stored in a separate place for future analysis or for reporting purpose. We understand the definition of data, and then we understand in which format we'll have the business data. And then we come to know nowadays where the companies are storing their business data, database software systems. And then we understand the different types of databases. There are two types of databases, DBMS and RDBMS. So we discussed about what is meant by DBMS, and also we discussed about what is meant by RDBMS. So we know that what is the definition of DBMS and RDBMS case. And also we understand what is the main difference between DBMS and RDBMS softwares. As we know that in the DBMS softwares, we are not able to create the relationships between the tables. But whereas in the RDBMS softwares, it is possible to create the relationships between the two tables. So this is what the main difference between DBMS and RDBMS softwares. And then we listed the different types of RDBMS softwares we'll have in the market. And then we discussed about what's meant by SQL, who developed it, when it is developed, and what type of software it is. And then we discussed about what is meant by MS SQL Server, who developed, when it is developed. And then next, I given an example where the SQL will be used in the real-time scenarios. So SQL will act as a backend development software, which is used to store what? Business data in the form of what? Tables. We understand where SQL will be used in the real-time scenarios in the previous class. And then we come to know SQL is divided into two parts. One is basic and second is T-SQL. So here we discussed a few points related to the basic SQL. And then we discussed a few points related to what is SQL. So up to here, we discussed in the previous class, guys. I given some introduction to SQL Server. So now in today's class, we'll go and discuss about what? In today's class, we'll go and discuss about the installation part. In today's class, we'll go and discuss about what? Installation. So what are the different softwares you need to install in your systems to work with the SQL Server? We'll understand now in today's class, and we'll try to install those softwares. So first of all, let me list out the different softwares we need to install in your systems to work with the SQL. Let me go and keep the different softwares we need to install. The first software we need to install is SQL Server. And the second software we need to install in your systems is SSMS window. SSMS window. These are the two softwares we need to go and install in your systems in order to go and work with what? SQL, right? So now what is this SSMS stands for now? SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio. SQL Server, SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio. So what is the use of this SSMS window means? This SSMS window, it is an external software. It is an external software which is used to connect to the SQL servers. So let me mention that point here. So what's the use of this SSMS window is? SSMS window, it is used to connect with the SQL servers. That means, let me keep here, to connect to the SQL servers. SQL servers. We need to have the SSMS window software. Without having this SSMS window software, you are not able to connect with the SQL servers, guys. So it is an external software which is used for what? Connecting to the SQL servers, right? So these are the two softwares we need to go and install in your systems to work with the SQL. So now, before going to understand how to go and install these two softwares, let me go and discuss about the block diagram of SQL. First, let me discuss about the block diagram, and then I will discuss how to install these two softwares to work with the SQL. Let me go and open the block diagram of SQL. Right. Now try to understand. This is what the block diagram for SQL architecture. So now what I'm going to discuss now in today's class, I will explain in this block diagram at a high level case. Now try to understand, as a SQL developer, if you want to go and store the business data in the SQL, and if you want to work with the data, first of all, what we need to create? First, we need to go and create what? Server names, or we'll call it as what? We'll call it as instance memories. So whenever you want to store the data in the SQL, first of all, we need to go and create what? We need to create something called server names or instance memories. So now, what is this server name means? It is just like a memory allocation. What's meant by server names means? It is just like memory allocation, where we'll go and store the business data. If you want to store the business data, we need to have some memory, right? So by using what, we can allocate the memory here with the help of server names. So server names are just like the memory allocations where we'll store the business data. Okay, fine. So now, when we will go and create the server names, which is used to allocate the data, we are going to create the server names at the time of installation. When we are going to install the SQL Server software, at the time of installation, not required. You sit here, stop it. You sit here. So when to go and create the server names is at the time of installation. So now what is the server name I'll go and create for your batch? Dedicated for your batch, I'll go and create one separate server at the time of installation. What is that server name? I'll keep the server name as SQL Server 6 p.m. I'll go and create one separate server dedicated for this batch. What the name I'll keep for that server? SQL Server 6 p.m. So this is what the first step is. First step is, first we need to go and create the server names. I will show you. In today's class, I will show you how to go and create what? Server names, right? So how many servers you can create? Let's say I'm creating this server, SQL Server 6 p.m. Like this, how many servers you can create max? If you have the SQL in your systems is, maximum we can create 50 servers, guys. Fine. Once after creating servers, now second step is what? Step 2 is what? So I said that how many servers we can create maximum? 50. Now, once after creating multiple servers, now among those servers, which server you want to connect? So second step is what? Connecting to the servers. First step is create the server. Once the servers are created, second step is go and connect to the servers, guys. Step 2 is what? Connecting to the servers. So how to go and connect to the servers, I'll show you. Step 2 is connecting to the servers. Next, once after connecting to servers, now within the servers, we are going to create what? So once after connecting to servers, Within the servers, we are going to create what? Databases, like database 1, database 2, database 3, like this. We'll create multiple databases, guys. So how many databases we can create under single server? Let's take this is the server I'm connecting, SQL Server 6 PM. Now under this server, how many databases we can create maximum? So max we can create 32767 databases, guys. Maximum how many databases we can create here is 32767 databases we can create. Now, once after creating the multiple databases like database 1, database 2, database 3 like this is the third step. What's the third step? Creating the databases. Where we will create the databases? Within the servers. Once after connecting to the servers, within the servers, we'll go and create the databases. Now, once after creating the databases, next fourth step is among these databases, we need to connect to any one database now. So let's say I'm having 3 databases here. Among those 3 databases, I need to connect to any one of the database. Let's say I'm connecting to which database here? Database 2, DB2. I'm connecting to what? DB2. This is the database I'm connecting. So next, the fourth step is connecting to the databases. Now, once after connecting to the databases, next, fifth step is what? Fifth step is once after connecting to the databases, now what the database contains, guys? Okay, you are creating one database and you are connecting to the databases. Now, what the database contains? Each and every database contains what? Database objects. Each database contains database objects. Database objects is nothing but what? Tables. For now, you people can understand what is the best example for database object means table. Table is one of the database object. So finally, we come to know where we will go and create the tables in the SQL. We'll create the tables within the databases. And not only tables, guys. What are the different examples of database objects is tables, views, synonyms, indexes, procedures, functions, triggers. All this comes under where? Database objects only. But you people are not able to understand all this stuff right now. For now, just keep in mind what is the example of database object means tables. So finally, fifth step is what? Creating the database objects. Database objects like what? Tables. So these are the different steps involved in this. So totally how many steps is there? If you want to go and create a table, and if you want to store the data in the tables in the SQL, so how many steps we need to follow? 5 steps. So in these 5 steps, first step 1 is what? First, we need to go and create the server names or instance memories. What is the need of creating the server names or instance memories means? These are just like the memory allocations where we are going to store the business data. And next, when we'll create the server names, we'll create the server names at the time of installation. I will show you in today's class at the time of installation how to create the server name. So what is the server I will create for this batch today? SQL Server 6 PM. Now, once after creating the server, second step is what? Connecting to the servers. Now, once after connecting to the servers, next third step is what? Creating the databases. We need to create multiple databases. Now, once after creating the databases, next the fourth step is what? Connecting to the databases. Now, I'm connecting to what database here? Database 2. Now, once after connecting to the databases, next the fifth step is what? Creating the database objects. Creating what? Database objects. Database objects is nothing but what? Tables. So database objects is nothing but what? Tables. We'll create the tables and then finally we can go and store the data. What do you need? Fine. So this is what the architecture gets. So if whatever the block diagram I'm explaining here, this 5-step process, I will show you in today's class. In today's class, I will show you how to create the server names. I will show you how to connect to the servers. I will show you how to create the databases. I will show you how to connect to the databases. And then I will show you how to go and create the tables within the database. Once the tables are created, how to store that data in the tables we'll discuss. Practically, at a high level, I'll show you this 5-step process in today's class, right? Fine. Now, once after understanding the block diagram of SQL, now let me go and discuss about the installation part. Let me go and discuss about the installation part. So as we understand, if you want to work with the SQL, we need to go and install these two softwares. So before going to understand how to install these two softwares, one more point we need to understand here in detail about what is this SSMS window. One more point we need to understand about what? SSMS window. So this SSMS window is somewhat important, guys. So if you want to connect with the SQL servers, must and should we need to know about the SSMS window. And also there are some questions where we'll get in the interviews. Today's class is also very, very important. Don't consider just an installation class. From today's class, there may be a chance of asking at least 2 to 3 questions in the interviews, guys. So please concentrate. So let me discuss about what is this SSMS window. Now try to understand. Whenever if you go and open the SQL, whenever you try to open the SQL, it will use one welcome window. Whenever you try to open the SQL, it will give some welcome window. That welcome window will call it as what? SSMS window. That welcome window will call it as what? SSMS window. So how this SSMS window will looks like? So this is how the SSMS window will looks like. So whenever you open the SQL, this is how the SSMS window will looks like. Now we'll call it as SSMS window, or we can call it as what? Connect to server. So why we are calling it as an connect to server? Because I said that SSMS window is used for what? To connect to the SQL servers. Already I mentioned that point here, guys. If you see in this notepad, already I said that SSMS window is for what? To connect with the SQL servers. So that's why we can call it as connect to server also. Now here, there are different parameters we need to pass. One is server type. Second is server name, authentications, username, and then password. Now, let me go and discuss about one by one here, guys. Let me discuss about one by one. First, let me go and keep here. Under the SSMS window, there are different parameters we need to pass. First one is what? Server type. Server name. Third one is authentication. Fourth one is username. And fifth one is what? Password. These are the different parameters we need to pass. Now, let me go and discuss one by one here, guys. Let me go and discuss one by one. First, let me discuss about the server types. So now, what is the use of server type and what are the different types of server types we'll have? First, let me keep here. Under the server types, there are different types of server types are available. Now, what are the different types of server types we'll have? The first one is database engine. First one is what? Database engine. Second one is integration service. Third one is analysis service. Fourth one is reporting service. Reporting service. And there is one more fifth one, Azure SSIS integration runtime. So these are the different types of server types we'll have. Now, among all the server types, what is the server type you need to select as a SQL developer? As a SQL developer, we need to go and select the server type as what? Database engine. In the interviews, you will get this question, guys. As a SQL developer, you'll go and select the server type as what? Database engine. So why? Because let me keep here. First of all, let me keep here. To connect to the SQL servers, we need to have the SSMS. Sorry, we need to have the, or let me keep it as to connect with to connect to the SQL servers. We need to select. We need to select the server type as what is server type? We need to select database engine. So why? Because this database engine, it works as a core component. It works as a core component to SQL. That means whatever the things you are going to perform on the SQL, all those things, who will take care of it? Database engine will take care of it. So if you want to connect with the SQL servers, then what is the server type we need to select? database engine, right? And next, there is something called integration service. Integration service is nothing but SSIS. Analysis service is nothing but SSAS. Reporting service is nothing but SSRS. So now all these three will comes under the MSBI tools, guys. All these three will comes under where? MSBI tools. Now, what's meant by MSBI? Microsoft Business Intelligence. Microsoft Business Intelligence. So this Microsoft Business Intelligence and people, those who are coming from Power BI. Power BI, both are similar, guys. Both are used for data analysis purpose. Before in previous days, before 2015, if the companies wants to analyze the business data, they are using the MSBI. But from 2015 onwards, instead of using MSBI, companies are started using what? Power BI. So in Power BI, you will have Power Query. Power Query is same as integration service. In Power BI, you'll have the Power Pivot. Power Pivot is same as analysis service. Power View is same as what? Reporting service. So whatever the Power BI desktop will have in those three softwares is there. Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. So all these are same. So these three will comes in the MSBI tools. It is a separate course. So this course doesn't have that much market nowadays because most of the market share will be occupied by which software? Power BI software. So just ignore it, guys. For just for understanding purpose, I'm discussing about this point here, right? Next, there is one more Azure SSIS integration runtime. So it is used to connect with the Azure cloud-based technology. So from Microsoft, there is one cloud-based technology called what? Azure. So whatever the data is there in the SQL, so if you want to connect that data from Azure cloud-based technology, they'll go and use what? Azure SSIS integration runtime. So all these are just for understanding purpose, guys. You don't require to remember all this stuff. Just keep in mind, as a SQL developer, go with the server type as what? Database engine. Remaining all, just ignore it. And next, fine, we understand what's meant by server type. Next, we need to understand about server name. Now try to understand. So just a few minutes back, I discussed about server names. I said that what's meant by server names? Not the server name. I said that what is meant by server names? I said that what's meant by server name? It is just like a memory allocation where we are going to store the business data, correct? Let me keep that point here, guys. Already we know that what is meant by server type, server name. So just copy and paste it here. So what's meant by server names means server names are just like the memory allocations, which is used to, it is just like a memory allocation where we will create what? Databases and stores the database objects like what? Tables. That means within the servers only we are able to create databases and we are able to create the database objects like tables. Fine. Already we know what's meant by server names now. And next point we need to understand. I said that when we will create the server names, when we will go and create the server names, I said that online people. No. Online people, please respond. Offline people, please respond. I said that when we will go and create the server names at the time of installation, not after installation, at the time of installation. Try to understand. First, listen the class. Don't write anything. First, try to listen the class. So now, so we know that what's meant by server names is these are just like the memory allocations. So I said that when we create the server names is at the time of installation. Now, at the time of installation, there are two ways where we can create the server names, guys. So types of server names. So there are two ways we can create the server names. Let me keep here. Instead of types, let me keep here as different ways. Different ways create server names. Different ways to create what? Server names. So there are two ways we can create the server names at the time of installation. One is by using what? Default instance. And second is by using what? Named instance. One is default and second is what? Named. I'll show you these two options, guys. At the time of installation, I'll show you. But now keep in and try to understand theoretically. So at the time of installation, we can create the server names by using these two. Now, what's meant by default and what's meant by named? So now, at the time of installation, without our permission, SQL itself will create one server name. What is the server name it will create? By default, the SQL will create one server name called what? MS SQL Server with the help of default instance. With the help of default instance, without our permission, SQL tries to create one server that is what? MS SQL Server. So here my requirement, I don't want to go with the default servers, guys. This is the default server. I don't want to go with the default servers. I want to create a separate server for this batch. The server name is SQL Server 6 p.m. So if you want to create your own server names, then go with what? Named instance. When I go with the named instance, then you can create your server names, guys. Now I can create the server name as what? SQL Server 6 p.m. So these are the two ways we can create the server names. One is default and second is by using what? Named. Thank you. Next, fine. Now we understand the different ways to create. Again, interview question, guys. Type different ways we can create the server names. One is by using default and second is by using named. And next, okay, once after creating server names, second step is what here? Connecting to that servers. Now, while connecting to servers, there are different ways we can connect to servers, guys. Let me keep that point here. Different ways connect to the servers. Now, what are the different ways we'll have to connect to servers? There are two ways. One is we'll call it as local servers. Local servers. Second one we'll call it as global servers. Now, what is meant by local and what's meant by global servers? Let me explain, guys. Local servers is nothing but if both the system and the server, if both the system and server is at one place, then we'll call it as local servers, guys. Let me give an example. If both the system and server is at one place, let's say this is my system. Let's take my system name is Venki. And in my system, I'm installing the SQL Server software. In my own system, I'm installing the SQL. And also, software. Software is also there in my own system, guys. Not software, server. So SQL is installed and also server is also there in my same system, in my own system. What's the server name? 6 p.m. Right. Now, here, both server and the system is at one place. In my own system, the SQL server is installed and also server also is there in my own system. So if both the system and the server is at one place, then the type of servers we'll call it as local servers. Now, what is meant by global servers? Global servers is nothing but the system is at one place and the server is at another place. System is at one place and server is at another place. That means, let me give an example, guys. Let's take this is my system. This is my system. Let me keep my system name as Venki. And my system is located in Hyderabad. Let's take my system is in where? Hyderabad. And now SQL server, SQL software is installed. SQL software is there. But server is not there in my system now. So server is there in which system now? Let's take there is another system. Let me keep the system name as Sunil. Let's take whose system it is? Sunil system. Let us take Sunil system is there in the Bangalore location. The Sunil system is there in the Bangalore location. Now server is there in which system means server is there in the Sunil system. What is the server? SQL Server 6 p.m. So server is there in the Sunil system. Now what's my requirement here is from my system, this is my system, right? From my system, which is there in the Hyderabad location, I want to connect to the server which is there in the Sunil system in Bangalore location. So from my system, I want to connect to this server. From my system, which is there in the Hyderabad location, I want to connect to the server which is there in the Sunil system in Bangalore. This type of connections will called as what? Global servers. So in the real-time scenarios, for our practice, we'll go with the local servers. But in the real-time scenarios, so we'll go with the global servers. Why? Because you are in India, you are working for one company, your client is from US. Let's take your client, you are working for US-based client. So servers will not be there in your system. Whatever the systems the companies will provide to you at the time of joining, they'll provide one system to you. Do you think that in that system you'll have the business data? No. Only the SQL software is installed. So from that one software, open the SQL Server software, then you need to connect to the client system, which is there in the US location. And then only you can go and work with that data. So in the real-time scenarios, we'll go with the global servers. For our practice, we'll go with what? Local servers. Fine. This is about what's meant by server name, different ways to create the servers, different ways to connect to the servers. And next one is what? Authentication. Next one is what? Authentications. Authentications is also important. There is a chance of asking the questions in the interviews. And this authentication is important for Power BI students. People, those who are coming from Power BI, this authentication is important. Why? Because if you want to connect to the data which is in the SQL from Power BI, you need to have the authentication type. So what's meant by authentication? Different types of authentications, you'll understand. So first point, let me go and keep here what is meant by authentication, I guess. So authentications are used to check the usernames and passwords. So if you want to connect to the servers, you need to pass the usernames and passwords, guys. So who will check whether that usernames and passwords is valid or not? Authentications will take care of it. So authentication, it is used to activate or check the credentials of the users, like user ID and password. Whatever the usernames and passwords you are entering at the time of connecting to the servers, whether that usernames and passwords is valid or not, who will take care of it? Authentications will take care of it. And next, here, there are two types of authentications we'll have. Let me keep here the types of authentications. We have the two types of authentications, guys. What those two types of authentications will have? One is Windows authentication. First one is what? Windows authentication. Second is what? SQL Server authentication. SQL Server authentication. So these are the two types of authentications we'll have. Now, what is meant by Windows and what's meant by SQL Server authentication? Now try to understand, guys. Whenever if you are connecting to the servers, if you go with that authentication type as Windows, if you are selecting the authentication type as Windows, then what is your role? Your role is admin. Your role is what? Admin. That means you are the boss. You can do whatever the things you want to perform. You don't want to take the permissions from anyone. So whenever if you connect to the servers using Windows authentication, your role is admin role. But whenever if you are connecting to servers, if you select the SQL Server authentication, then what is your role here? Your role is just an user. Your role is what? Just an user. You are just an user. So you are not able to perform all the operations, guys. Based on the credentials, based on the access, the admin will provide it to you. You need to go and work with that data only. So you don't have the privileges to access the complete data in that servers. So at the time of connect servers, if you go with the Windows, your role is admin role. That means you are the boss. If you go with the SQL authentication, then that means you are just an user. If you want to perform any operation, you need to take the permissions from whom? Admins, right? So these are the two types of authentications we'll have. And next point we need to understand. Okay, we understand that we have the two types of authentications. Now, among these two, what is the default authentication? SQL will take one authentication as default. Now, what's the default authentication in the SQL? The default authentication is Windows. What's the default authentication in the SQL? Windows. So the default authentication is Windows authentication. So by default, SQL will take the authentication as Windows. But when I go with the Windows, what is your role? Admin. Now in the real time, all the people will have the admin access? No. Only one admin will be there. Remaining all are users. You need to go with the users. So you are the developer. You are not an admin. Always you are going to work as a developer, guys. So we are not discussing here for admin concepts. So as a developer, you don't have the access to connect servers using Windows authentication. You will have the access to connect to the servers using what authentication? SQL's authentication. So if you want to go and connect to the servers using SQL's authentication, then here there will be an option called mixed mode. There will be an option called what? Mixed mode. Mixed mode means you can connect to the servers using both Windows and SQL Server authentication. So I will show you this option, guys. I'll show you this option at the time of installation. At the time of installation, you need to select this option. Why? Because if you go with mixed, you can connect either Windows or you can connect either SQL Server authentication. Both you can, anyone you can do. But if you go with default, you are able to connect to the servers using only Windows authentication. But in the real time, developers doesn't have the admin access. You are just an user. So we need to go with what? Mixed. Fine. I'll show you that option, guys. At the time of installation, I'll show you. Fine. So this is all about what's meant by authentication. So in the interviews, commonly asking question, what's meant by authentication? Types of authentications, Windows and SQL Server. And then what's the default authentication? Windows is the default authentication. These are the commonly asking questions from the authentications here, right? And next, finally, we need to pass what? Usernames and passwords. Now, basically in the real-time scenarios, who will provide the usernames and passwords to us? Admins. Admin will provide the credentials to us. So let me go and keep here. In the real-time scenarios, for the developers, SQL developers, who will provide the credentials means admin will provide. Based on the usernames and passwords they are providing to us, we can go and turn to the servers. But here, in our practice purpose, let's say, if you are connecting to the servers, let's say, if you are connecting to the server using Windows authentication, then what is the usernames and passwords? In this case, the username will be your system name. Whatever the name you will have for your system, that system name will take it as by default username. What's the password? So password, your system password, whatever the password you'll have for your system password will take it as default password. So if you are connecting to the servers using Windows authentication, then what's the default usernames and passwords? Your system name and your system password will be the default usernames and passwords. But in the real time, as a developer, we don't go with Windows. We'll go with what? Mixed. That means SQL's authentication. When we go with the SQL Server authentication, who will provide the usernames and passwords to you? Admins. Admin will provide in the real time. But here, as we'll go with Windows authentication, your system name and your system password will take it as default usernames and passwords, right? So we understand who will provide the usernames and passwords. And next, this is about the different points we need to understand about the SSMS window. Now we discussed all this case. So we come to know, we understand what is meant by server type. So there are different types of server types we'll have. As a SQL developer, we need to go with the server type as what? Database engine. And then server name. Here you need to pass the server name to which server you want to connect. So whatever the server you want to connect, just pass the server name here. I'll pass the server name as what? SQL Server 6 p.m. And then authentication. So as our practice, we'll go with what type of authentication? Windows. When I go with the Windows authentication, what's the default username? Your system name. This is my system name. That's why I'm mentioning this name here. And system password. Whatever the password you'll have for your system, it will take the system password as a default password. Now, once after passing all these parameters, you'll have one button here on the bottom. What's that button? Connect. So when I go and click on this connect button, whatever the server name you are passing here, we'll connect to that server. When I click on the connect button, which server name you are passing here, we are going to connect to that particular server. So this is what's meant by SSMS window. This SSMS window is important. There may be a chance of asking at least 2 questions and maximum of 4 to 5 questions in the interview case. So try to understand. Fine. So once after understanding about the SSMS window, now let me go and install these 2 softwares. First, let me go and install about what? SQL Server. Let it install, guys. So to install this, first of all, we need to download this software. To download the software, go to any one of the browser. Go to any one web browser and then go and search for what? SQL Server download. SQL Server 2022 version download. Just go and select this option, guys. And then try to install or try to download from the official website from Microsoft. Download it from the Microsoft website. So just go and click on this link. So it will go to this, it will open this tab and scroll down. Scroll down. Here, there are different versions or different SQLs will be there. One is on-premises, Azure, Express, something will be there. So now we need to install about what? Developer version. SQL Server 2022 developer version. Just go and click on what? Download now. When I click on download now, it is started downloading here. Yes, it is downloaded. Once it is downloaded, go to the downloads folder in your system. Go to where? Downloads folder in your system. You can see an option called SQL 2022 SSEI dev. Now just right click on it, right click and click on run as administrator. Go to this, right click on what? Run as administrator. When I click on run as administrator, so it is asking some permissions. Just click on the S button now. Click on the S button. So just go and select custom here. Go and select what? Custom. Don't do any changes. It is taking the default path in your system C drive. Don't do the changes. Click on what? Install. Let it. Now it will go open. It will go and open another window now. It will go and open this window. So now in this window, on the top left side, go to the second option. That is what? Installation. Go to the installation. And the installation, go and select the first option. New SQL Server standalone installation. Just select this option, guys. When I select this, now it will go and open another window. See, it is trying to open another window. Let it open. Let me minimize this one. Let me go and open this window. Let it open. Fine. Let me check whether it is opened or not. Yes. So you'll get this window. So in this window, just go and click on what? Next button. Don't do any changes here. Just go and click on the next button. It is just for if you want to get any updates, check this box. Otherwise, uncheck it. I'm not going to check. Just go and click on the next button. Click on the next. So it is going to install some files. It's going to set up some files here. You will get some message passed, and some warning message you will get. Windows firewall warning. No problem with that. Just ignore. Go and click on what button? Next button. And then I said that how many servers we can create in the SQL? 50. So already there are two servers is there, 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. slots. For two slots, already there is two servers is created. So I want to create one new server now. Prefer a new installation. I want to create a new server. So just go and click on what? Next. Don't do any changes here. Here also just go and click on what? Next. And check this box, accepting the terms and conditions. Check the box. Click on the next button. Don't forget to uncheck this option, guys. Try to go and uncheck it. Try to uncheck it and then click on the next button. And then what features you want to install now? As a SQL developer, I said that as a SQL developer, what is the server type you need to go and select? Database engine.
Database
so, correct. Install the database engine features. Select this option. Click on the next. Fine. So instance configuration. Instance. Instance means what here? If you see, instance means what? It is just like the server names. So I said that when we'll create the server names? At the time
after
of installation. At the time of installation. So now I'm installing the SQL. At the time of installation, now this is the place, instance configurations is the place where we will go and create the server names. I said that there are two ways we can create the servers. What are those two ways? One is using default and second is using what? Named. So now see, by default, without our permission, it is selecting what instance? Default instance. By default, without our permission. So what is the name it is keeping? Server name? MS SQL Server. So when I try to do changes, it doesn't allow me to change because it is grayed out. So default instances, we are not able to change the names. So I don't want to go the default servers. I want to create my own server name. If you want to create your own servers, just go and click on what? Named instance. When I click on named instance, now it is allowing me to enter the server name. Let me keep the server name as what? SQL Server 6 p.m. Just pass this name. And then make sure the same name need to be shown here also. And next, just go and click on what? Next. So this is the place where we create the server name case. I said that first step is done, creating the server names. Next, don't do any changes here. Go and click on what? Next. And then database engine configurations. That means here under the database engine configurations, there is an option called what? Authentication. I said that what's the default authentication? Windows. So without our permission, by default, it is selecting what authentication here? Who can go to the Windows authentication? Admin. So as a developer in the real time, we need to go and select what? Mixed. When I select the mixed, then it is telling you can connect using both SQL and also the Windows authentication. So in the real time, we'll go with mixed, but here we'll go with what? Windows. For now, go with the Windows case. And then go and click on what? Add current user. When I click on add current user, it is going to make me as an admin to this server, guys. So please wait until you are able to see the system name here, guys. It will show your system name here. And then go and click on what? Next. So now I'm setting all the files. So now just go and click on install. When I go and click on install, now it is started installing this. So it will take some time. So installing the SQL Server, it will take some time, guys. It totally depends on the system performance and the internet speed. Not even internet speed, totally depends on the system performance. If your system performance is good, it will take around 2 to 3 minutes. Otherwise, it will take more than 5 minutes, guys. So please don't click on the cancel button here in the bottom. Please wait until you are able to see the success message, right? Let it install. Meanwhile, I'll go and download one more software. What is the next software we need to download? SSMS. Let me download that software meanwhile. Go to the new tab. Go and search here for SSMS download. Select this option, SSMS download 2022. And download the SSMS from the official website from Microsoft. Click on this link. Scroll down. Scroll down. Here you can see an option called what? Download SSMS. Just go and click on this option, guys. When I click on this option, so it is started downloading. So I think it is downloaded 1.3 MB only. Yes, it is done. So first it is downloaded. Let me check whether it is installed or not. First SQL is installed, then only I need to go and install the SSMS. So SSMS is downloaded. Keep it here. You can see in the downloads folder. It is installed. It is downloaded. We need to install it. First, let me go and complete this installation process for SQL. Once it is installed, then we'll go and install the SSMS. Let it install. As I said, that will take some time. Almost completed, I think. Let me close all these tabs. Even if your RAM is full, will take some time. Right. You'll get this message. Database engine services succeeded. Installation is successful. Just go and click on the close button, guys. Right. First software is installed. Now the second software we need to install what? SSMS. Already is downloaded. Just go to the downloads folder in your system and then go and install it. Just go here, right click on what? Run as administrator. It will ask some permissions. Click on the S button. So just go and click on continue. So previously, we don't have the Visual Studio installed. Previously, directly we can install the SSMS. But now, SSMS is coming with the inbuilt feature Visual Studio. So first we need to have the Visual Studio to install the SSMS. So anyway, it will be by default, it will come here. Click on continue. So it is installing. First, it is downloading the Visual Studio, and then it will install the Visual Studio. Let it install. Fine. You'll get this screen once it is installed. So in this, you don't bother about all this stuff. So these are the, if you want to install business intelligence tools, MSBA tools, this is for MSBA, some code tools, hybrid migration, AI. So it is not required all this. Here also you can see the same. If you want to use Copilot, AI tool, MSBA tools, code tools, same, whatever you shown here, the same it is showing here also. No need to bother about all this stuff. So just go here, go and click on what? Install. So here there are two options at the time of installation. You can install while downloading. First, it will start the download process. Meanwhile, it will install the parallel it will done. Or you can do what? First download and then install. It is up to you. I'll go with the first one only. Download and install parallel I want to do. So just go and click on install. When I click on install, now it is going to download in the SSMS window and then it is going to install it. Both parallelly will done now. So if you want to install the SSMS window, first we need to have the Visual Studio. Without having the Visual Studio, it is not possible to install the SSMS window now. Visual Studio is mandatory. But in the previous versions, there is no Visual Studio. So I'm downloading the SSMS. Meanwhile, parallelly, I'm installing it. Let it download and install, guys. So it will take some time. It will be around, I think, 2 GB. More than 2 GB it is. Not 2 GB. I think it is 634 MB. Let it install. Once the installation is done, so that we'll complete the installation process. And also we created the server names. First step is done. Second step is what? Connecting to the servers. How to connect to the servers, how to create these databases, how to connect to the databases, how to create the tables. I'll show you now once the installation is done. Let it install first. Download is completed. Now it is installation process is almost is also done. Fine. It is given a message what? All installations are up to the date. So it is done successful. Installation is done. So you can go and click on launch. When I click on launch, now it will open the SQL Server. So from here, I'm not going to click on launch, just to minimize it. So now, once after installing those two softwares, so now how to go and install, how to go and open the SQL now. So to open the SQL, So I'm creating one shortcut here in the desktop. I can go and just double click on it. For you, you are not able to see this shortcut by default. We need to create the shortcuts. So if you want to go and open it, go to the search bar. Under the search bar, search for SQL Server Management Studio. Search for what? SQL Server Management Studio. You can see an option here, guys. SQL Server Management Studio. Just go and select this. When I select it, now it will go and open the SQL Server now. When I try to open the SQL, it is asking us SQL Server. It is asking for authentication. It is asking to sign in with Microsoft account or GitHub account, or you can create a new account. For now, it is not required for us. Just go and click on what? Skip and add account ladder. So just go and select this option now. Now it will go and open the SQL Server. Let it open. So whenever you try to open the SQL Server, so you'll get one welcome window. I said that you will be getting one welcome window. So this welcome window will call it as what? Connect to server, or we'll call it as what? SSMS window. So this SSMS window, whatever I shown in the Word document, that is the old one, and this is the new one. This new one is still is the preview mode, guys. So there may be some changes in the future days. So it is in the preview mode. Let me go with the new one only. So here we need to pass the server type. By default, it is not taking me this, asking me to pass the server type, guys. Why? Because here in the new version, at the time of installation, what is the instance feature we installed? Database engine. So database engine, you are installing only database. So you don't want to pass again the server type here. It is not asking again to pass a server type. By default, is taking the server type as database engine. And next, server name. Here you need to pass a server name, guys. By default, you are not able to see any server names here. So how we can get the server names is, go to the browse and go to local. And in the local, you can see the different servers you created. So 7 a.m., 11 a.m., and just now we created one more server called what? 6 p.m. Just select that server. Which server you are selecting here, it will show that server name here. And then authentication. I said that two types of authentications. One is Windows and second is what? SQL. Let me go with Windows here for now. When I go with the Windows, it is taking the server name, username as what? My system name. It doesn't allows me to enter the username, guys, because by default it takes as what? System name. What is the password? System password. And then database name. Here database name, it is not mandatory. You can just ignore it, guys. You can just ignore it. So keep it as default only. And encryption. This point is important. By default, it is mandatory. So you can do one thing. You can check this box. That means trust server certification. That means whatever the server you are connecting, we can trust that server is a verified server. It is a proper connection. Otherwise, what we can do, uncheck this, go to the drop down, make it as optional. You can make it as optional. And then just go and click on what? Connect. Whenever I go and click on connect, now it will connect to the server. Which server? Whatever the server name you are passing here, it will go and connect to that server. So first step we done, guys. Server, creating the server names. First step is done already. Second step is what? Connecting to the servers. So here I'm showing you how to connect the servers here. So which server name you are passing, we are going to connect to that server. Just go and click on the next button. Sorry, connect button, guys. When I click on connect, now it is going to connect to the server name. So what is the server name? SQL Server 6 p.m. Right. Now, once after connecting to the servers, next, within the servers, we need to create what? Databases. Let me show you how to create the databases. So as today is the first class, so I don't show you how to go and create the databases by writing queries. By writing the queries. So I will show you how to create the databases with the help of GUI options. Every point I will show you in today's class by using GUI to understand the concept in a better way. Because of today is the first class. Anyway, I will show you how to create the databases in the upcoming sessions by writing the queries also. For now, let me go with the GUI. Now, how to create one database? In the top left side, there is an option called what? Database. So just go to the database, right click, and go and click on what? New database. When I click on new database, Now it will allows us to pass the database name. It is asking us to pass what? Name, database name. Let me pass the database name as patch 6 p.m. Let me keep it in caps. Patch 6 p.m. And then just go and click on what? OK. Pass the database name and then click on OK. When I click on OK, now it is creating the database name. So where we can see the database name here, once the database is created, go and expand the databases, expand it. When I expand the databases, you can see an option called expand option here, guys. Just go and expand it. You can see the database name called what? Batch 6 p.m. Like this, I want to create one more database. How to create again? Go to databases, right click, new database. What I want to, let me pass the name as what? Sample DB. Or let me keep it as sample database. Just go and click on what? OK. When I click on OK, now it is creating another one more database. Let me create one more. Let me keep it as DB3. Click on OK. Okay, let me keep it as DB4. Click on OK. Yes, it is created. So like this, we can create the multiple databases. Now, once after creating the multiple databases, next step is what? Connecting to the databases. Now, I'm having 3 databases here. Among these 3 databases, I want to connect to the database called what? Batch 6 p.m. I want to connect to the database called what? Batch 6 p.m. Now, how to connect to this database? So one way with the help of GUI. How to use the GUI options to connect to the databases? So just go and click on this new query, guys. Go and click on what? New query. There is an option called new query. When I click on this new query, it will opens one new session. It will opens one new session. So this is the place. This is the place where we'll go and write what? This is the place where we'll go and write the SQL queries in the upcoming sessions. So now once after opening this new query window, on the top, you can see a drop down here, guys. So by default, in this drop down, it is showing what? Master. So when I click on this drop down, you can see the databases I created. What is the database? Batch 6 p.m., DB4, sample DB. These are the databases we created. Apart from these 3, there are few more: master, model, MSDB, TempDB. Now, what are those? Those are also the databases created by the system. These are all the system-defined databases. MSDB, TempDB, master, model, or the system-defined databases. So now by default, SQL will go and connect to what database? Master. Interview question. SQL will connect to what database by default? Master database. So I don't want to go with the master. I want to connect to the database called what? 6 p.m. So go and click on this drop down and select the database as what? 6 p.m. So whatever the database you are able to see here, that means you are connected to that database. How we can understand which database is you connected? Just go and see the name here. Whatever the name you are able to see, that means that you are connecting to that database, right? Now, once after connecting to the databases, next my requirement is what? I want to create what? Database objects. Database object means what? Database objects is nothing but what? Tables. So now how to create a table in the SQL? So now, once after creating the databases, go to the database now, batch 6 p.m. Expand it. There is an option called what? Table. You can see an option called what? Table. So just go and right click on this one, guys. Right click and go to the new option. What I want to create new? Go to the table, right click, new. What I want to create new? Table. I want to create one new table now. So just go here. Click on new table. When I click select the table, now it is asking us to pass the column names. What columns you want to keep in the table? I want to create one table called employees table. In the table, I want to keep the columns like employee number column, first column. And next it is asking us to pass what? Data type. So what is meant by data types? When to use it? What are the different types of data types we'll have in the SQL? I'll discuss in the next class for tomorrow, 1 hour, guys. Tomorrow's class, I'll discuss about data types for how much time? 1 hour. Data types is important concept to start discussing about the SQL. So I'll discuss about data types in the next class tomorrow. For now, just try to understand how to create a table with the help of GUI options. So let me go and take the data type as int. Next, one more column, employee name column. varchar of size 50. Next, salary column. Data type as money. Next, department number column. Data type as int. Check it. Now, these are the columns I'm going to create. I'm creating one simple table, employees table. In this table, these are the columns. Now, once the columns are created, once have to pass the column names. Now, just try to close this tab. When I try to close this tab, now it is asking us to pass the table name. We are just creating the columns. I haven't passed the table name. To pass the table name, just go and click on the S button here. When I click on S button, it is asking us to enter the table name. What's the table name? Employees. Once after pass the table name, just go and click on what? OK. When I click on OK, now the table is created. What's the table name? Employees. Now where we can see the table, go to the tables, expand it. When I expand, you can see the table name here. This is the table just now we created or not? Yes, this is the table just now we created. So now when I expand this table, there is an option called what? Columns. So these are the columns we'll have. These are the columns we'll have in this table. Okay. Now I'm creating one table. The table name is employees. Now in this table, I'm having the data. Where we'll have the data? No, we don't have the data. Just we create the table. So now I want to go and store some data in this table. Now let me show you how to insert the data into the table with the help of GUI. In today's class, every point I will show you GUI. Anyway, not from tomorrow, day after tomorrow onwards, I'll start writing the queries. There you will understand how to go and do all this stuff by writing the queries. For now, go with the GUI in today's class. So just for the table, employees table, right click, and there is an option called edit top 200 rows. When I select this edit top 200 rows, now it will allow us to enter the data. Employee number, I want to keep it as 101. Let me keep the name as Warner, salary as 20,000 or 12,000, department number as 10. Let me go to the second row, 102. Salary as 16,000, department as 30. One more, 104. Name is equals to Finch. Salary is 18,000. Department number is 10. So like this, I'm inserting some data just for reference purpose. Guess how many employees data? 4 employees data. Once after inserting the data, just close this tab. When I close this tab, then automatically the data will be saved. So just go and close this tab. Now I'm having one table. The table name is employees. And in this table, just now we inserted some data. How many rows we inserted? 4 rows. Now whatever the data is there in this table, I want to view the data. I'm having one table. The table contains some data. Now I want to view the data in this table. Now how to view the data in the table using GUI? Go to the table again. Go to the table, right click, and then go and select what? Select top 1000 rows. When I click on this select top 1000 rows, now I'm able to view the data. So now this is what the data I'm having in this table or not? Yes, this is the data just now we inserted. The table name is employees. In this table, we have the columns like employee number, name, salary, and department. And this is the data just now we insert, right? So in today's class, we understand how to create the server names at the time of installation. And then we understand how to connect to the servers. And then we understand how to create the databases. And then we understand how to connect to the databases. And then we understand within the databases how to create what? Tables. Once the tables are created, we understand how to insert the data into the tables. Once after inserting the data, we understand how to get the data from the tables in the. So whatever I explained in the beginning of the session in this block diagram, each and every point I shown you practically in today's class. Yes. So this is all about how to go and install SQL Server and SSMS window to work with the SQL Server software. So these are 2 softwares we installed. Once after installation, we understand how to go and connect to the, how to open the SQL, how to connect to the servers, how to create the databases, how to create the tables, how to insert the data, and how to view data in the tables. Everything we did with the help of what? GUI options. Everything we done in today's class using GUI. So as today is the first class, I don't want to things make complex. To understand the concept in a better way, I'm going with GUI. So whatever I discussed in today's class, practically with the help of GUI, same points, I will show you how to do it by writing some queries. Not in the tomorrow, day after tomorrow onwards, I'll start writing the queries. There you will come to know how to create database, how to connect, how to create a table, how to insert the data, how to select the data. All this stuff you will come to know. Not tomorrow, and day after tomorrow onwards, we'll start the practical sessions. Fine. We'll stop here today and we'll discuss from here the next class on when? Tomorrow. Tomorrow we have the class. Tomorrow is the third free class. As I said that we have the access to attend the 3 free classes. So still now we done how many classes? 2 classes. So tomorrow is the third free class. Tomorrow is the third free class. So tomorrow's class is also free of cost. So online people, to attend the third free class tomorrow, you can use the same link. Whatever the link you are using for today's class, use that same link to attend the tomorrow's class also. So in the tomorrow's class onwards, from tomorrow onwards, we'll go and start discussing our curriculum. So by today, we're done with the installation. In the yesterday's class, that is in the previous class, I discussed about the installation introduction part. So from next class onwards, we'll start our curriculum, guys. So if you see in today's class, we understand about what SQL Server Installation and also SSMS window, these 2 points. And from tomorrow onwards, we'll start our curriculum, actual content. So first topic, we'll discuss about what? Data types. So what is memory data types? When to use it? What are the different types of data types we'll have in the SQL? I'll discuss about this concept in the next class for tomorrow for 1 hour of time. Fine. Keep in mind from tomorrow onwards, we'll start our curriculum. So tomorrow is also free class. So use the same link to attend the tomorrow's class. So online people, right? We'll stop here today. Now we'll go with the questions. Yes. Now, if you have any questions, online people, now you can please raise your hands. I'll talk to you one-on-one.